welcome to my channel. My name is Katie and my blog is called Heart's Content Farmhouse, and every week I share a new video mostly about soap making or bread baking. And today what we are making is blueberry lemon sourdough bread. So this bread is not a quick bread like a muffin or something like that. This is an actual slow rising sourdough bread recipe, and we are just going to add lemon zest and fresh blueberries into the dough for a little bit of extra flavor. So the basis of this recipe is one of my most popular recipes. It's a really foolproof artisan style sourdough bread. It uses a lot more starter than a lot of recipes you will find, and that makes it just easier to make. You're more likely to have success. It's not too high hydration, so it's easy to work with. And if you haven't had success in the past with sourdough bread, this base recipe is a great one to try. So the ingredients we're going to use today are 3 cups of bread flour. King Arthur is my favorite brand. And then besides that, all we need is 1 1/3 cups of water, which is 300 grams, a teaspoon of salt. We also need 3 tablespoons of white sugar, 3/4 of a cup of well-fed, bubbly sourdough starter. This has to be an active, mature starter. Our first step is something called autolyse, which is a first step in most sourdough recipes. We're going to combine the bread flour, the water, the sugar, and the sourdough starter, and just gently mix them. They don't have to be kneaded or anything like that, just mixed until they're combined, and then cover this with a clean tea towel and let it rest on the counter for about 30 minutes. The purpose of this step is just to make sure all the ingredients are well hydrated, and it just helps you get a better end result. If you skip it and just go straight into kneading, it is not the end of the world, but it's easy enough to do, so I recommend that you go ahead and do it. So once that is done, we are going to add the salt into the dough and we are going to knead it in. At the same time, we're going to go ahead and add the blueberries and lemon zest. What I'm going to do is just add these a little bit at a time and then knead them in really gently. We only went about 1 minute total of kneading. What we're really doing is just building a little bit of structure into this dough and making sure that the salt and the lemon zest and the blueberries are well incorporated. So at this point, we are going to put this dough into a clean, lightly oiled mixing bowl, and it's going to do its first rise. This step is called bulk fermentation. All of that really means is it is rising as a big ball of dough. So this is going to take 3 hours in a warm place, about 80 to 90 degrees is a great temperature to shoot for if you have a place like that. If you don't, you can just turn your oven on just for a minute or two, then turn it off and let the dough rise in there. So it's a 3-hour rise, but we can't just leave it to rise for 3 hours. Every hour, we're gonna come back and we're gonna reshape the dough into a ball. This is what is gonna help give the dough really good structure, and it's gonna help it rise up when it bakes instead of just being like a flat pancake. So after the first hour, you're gonna come back, just fold it up into a ball, cover it back up, let it rest for another hour. When you come back an hour later, it will totally flattened out again. It will be pancake-like, and you just reshape it up again. And then you're going to do that one more time. Each time you'll notice that the dough gets just a little bit stronger and holds its shape a little bit tighter, but it's still going to look very floppy every time you come to check on it. So the second proof is a long proof, and it is a cool proof. So this is going to be overnight in the fridge. So to get ready for this, we're going to take a proofing basket. And if you have rice flour, this is really handy because it's going to keep your dough from sticking to the basket. If you don't have rice flour, just use regular flour, but use a lot of it. You want to be really generous with this. So you dust your proofing basket with the flour and then just kind of plop the dough right in. You don't have to worry about any special type of shaping. The proofing basket is going to help that hold its shape. So just plop the dough in, cover it with greased plastic wrap, put it in the fridge overnight. 12 hours is fine, even 18 hours, it's not a big deal, just less than 24 hours. And then in the morning, all we have left to do is to bake. So we are gonna preheat a Dutch oven in our oven. So turn your oven on to 450 and put an empty Dutch oven in the oven and let that get hot while the oven preheats. While that is happening, you're gonna take your dough out of the fridge, turn it out onto a piece of parchment paper, and then your floured top is now going to be on top of the dough. Just slash it however you want. You do not have to get fancy. A simple slash down the middle is fine. And then still on the parchment paper, gently drop that into the hot Dutch oven. It's gonna be really hot, so you're gonna wanna use oven mitts so you don't burn yourself, and just tuck that in gently and put the lid back on top. Now, baking with the lid on the Dutch oven traps the steam inside and helps the bread rise higher. That is why we're doing it in this. But it's easier to have it brown with the lid off. So what we're gonna do is bake for 25 minutes with the lid on while the dough rises up. And then for the last 20 to 25 minutes of baking, the lid is gonna be off. So you'll know your loaf is done when the top is golden brown and the inside temperature is about 200 to 210 degrees. And it needs to cool at room temperature for a long time. If you cut into sourdough bread too soon, you are gonna have a really gummy interior and it's not going to be enjoyable. So you wanna let this cool at room temperature for about 4 hours on a cooling rack and then slice into it. Since this bread has blueberries and lemon zest in it and a little bit extra sugar, it is really good for French toast. It's also really good just sliced, toasted, and buttered for breakfast. So if you are kind of tired of just regular sourdough bread, this is a great twist. I also have a recipe for jalapeno cheddar that uses a really similar process. I'm gonna link both of those below, and I will also just put the full recipe in the description box if that is easier for you. So I hope you like this recipe. Please let me know if you do try it, and thank you so much for watching.